All right, baby, here we go.
Give it all the way you know. One time I never saw, but I can make it all. Sometimes I make it go. Nobody lets me know. Anytime you're in the rhyme, I can get it away. Sometimes I don't care if I go there. Sometimes I do, 'cause I want to. Nothing to get nice or get worse. 'Cause sometimes I get all where you know. One time I never saw, but I can make it all.
Hold on.
Sometimes.
There we go.
Yeah, a little squeaky in the futures on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Vinny G. Welcome to the Sunday Spin, brought to you by the good folks at What's Left Records in Colorado Springs, having a sale this weekend. Check them out. Facebook page, What's Left Records in the 719. Also, our good friend Chanel and Grooves Records in the 415, San Francisco. And the Anonymous Collective family, Anonymous Collective Records, Anonymous Pacific Records. And as always, I'm joined by my Kimosabi, G Money. How are you this afternoon?
Oh, Vinny G, great to see you, my brother. I'm doing great, man. Absolutely. Good day to be alive and thinking about rock and roll.
Right. And, on that note, I guess we want to send a shout out to someone special. We're going to let you do that.
Yeah. So our guest for today, Andrea, a great musician here in Colorado Springs, also a wonderful person for our community, helped run the Zodiac for like 10, 11 years, did open mic the whole time, and just did a lot for our community here in the Springs. So yeah, Miss Andrea broke her toe on Friday, so not able to join us, but hey, she's going to be back with us at some point, probably in early 2021, and grace us with some new music and awesome stories. She's just a wonderful person. So yeah, shout out to her. Happy healing time. Get that healed up, get that toe, right?
So yeah, get well, Andrea. And on that note, this year we've been very fortunate with the roster of guests that we've had every week. And we thought what better time to kind of put a little bow on our first season here. And we want to thank everyone for your loyalty and joining in. We talk about it a lot. We're humbled, but we are grateful.
Absolutely.
So, and we got big things planned next year, right, Glenn?
Oh, man, definitely. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ben, because we've been doing a little segment called Rick's Corner. And next year, it's going to kind of come into full fruition with a couple of other different short segments that we're going to do on the show. But yeah, we actually have later on in the show a clip from Rick's Corner. He's not going to be live with us today.
It's his debut, basically, his debut segment. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Oh, so excited, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I wonder what he's got up his sleeve for us.
And I think he's cooked up like even some music and like a whole production. When we know Eric, when we tell Shaggy to do something, man, he takes the ball and runs with it.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I know that you guys are too. And like Vince said, we're just so grateful for all the support, wonderful love and feedback that we get each and every week. If you started with the very first show, Vinny, it's just humble beginnings. We had the idea of like, we want to talk about some music with our friends and then maybe get into some record stores. And somehow on our very first episode, we were able to get into What's Left Records, and they let us in and hang out with Sean Ostro, the wonderful Ostro brothers. And what do you remember about that first episode, Vin?
Well, the thing I remember most about the first episode was that it was basically from the store.
Yeah.
In the 719, it was from What's left. And it
Absolutely.
was during the pandemic. Yeah, you guys had your masks on. There was a lot of running around. You were actually working, which was
Yeah.
also very interesting because people were coming in and asking questions.
Yeah.
But the thing I remember even after the first episode was the feedback we got, how excited people were to talk about music.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's the common denominator. It's the glue that not only just brings us all together, but it's kept us all together all these years.
Sure.
Our community, right? I mean, just the anonymous collective, community is just a small part of a geographical musical landscape that spans from here all the way to Berlin.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's universal. And,
absolutely.
And I'm very proud of the Anonymous Collective family. And I don't think we'd have this show if it wasn't for the Anonymous Collective backing, because it's so important. We have made so many great people. Frank Garcia, Anonymous Collective,
Absolutely.
future guests from Anonymous Collective. You go down the roster. But also, our friends that a lot of our other friends or associates did not know their histories have gotten to share what we've known. And it's kind of been a platform to really showcase some great friends, some great talent, spread some love. And that's been the most rewarding part for me.
Definitely, man.
How about you?
Just the getting to turn back time with some of these folks. I mean, we go so far back with, guests like the Hilbert brothers, Tim Ellison, Fez Recker. I mean, there's, all these people, we've known them for so many years. And when people pull out stories that you don't remember, or you have to kind of go, into the memory banks and to those files and access them.
Or need clarification.
Right. It's just a wonderful feeling, and everybody remembers something different about the old times, the old days. Everybody takes away a different significance for themselves, and that's what's been so fun, is seeing all these people light up when they talk about their art, and again, we've had, people from as young as 6 years old on the show playing music to people, that have been doing it, for 30, 40, 50 years, maybe some of them. So just that community that.
And on that note, last week was so very special because, right, as you said, starting at 6 years old, having, musicians on the show. And when the musicians come on the show, 6 or 60, they're going to get asked the same questions. And they came off as pros, but we had Tony there as well, the Godfather. Yeah. And it was a beautiful moment, really. Just kind of the passing of the torch, even, if you will, to the next generation of punk rockers. And yeah, that was a very special episode for me.
It was fantastic. And we want to let people know too that last week we had when we did have the Eddies on from Pacifica, they did the first live performance on Sunday Spin, Vin. I mean, we were completely overwhelmed by that, it's just, and they sounded great. I mean, they had attitude, you could hear the clarity of what they were doing, their intent. I mean, this is for 6 and 8 year old, I think, or Atticus is 6, right? Milo might be a little bit old. He might be 10.
But what great interviews they were too.
Oh man.
They looked you in the eye. They answered the questions, and again, I tried not to kid it down. I wanted to treat it like they were artists, because they are, frankly.
Yeah, no, I thought you asked some really amazing questions to them. They were very engaged. Tony made a comment that, man, it's hard to get them focused in on something like this. And for the whole show, they were, really into it. And, now it's it's spawned some recording for them. Now they can their dad can teach them how to make records. I mean, what a valuable thing to learn at 6 years old, at 10 years old, it's amazing. And you're right. Like you said, the Godfather, a great leader, not only for them, but for our community and at large. And the 64, baby.
An absolute inspiration. And yes, Legends of the 64. If there's Mount Rushmore, Tony Accarelli's face is going to be one of the four, right?
Absolutely.
So
Man.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you if there was a Mount Rushmore of 64, who would the four be?
Woo. Well, we've got one. I mean, wow, that's a really, I think Accarelli, you got to put on there. I really think from in my experience, you have to put Tim Ellison in there.
Great answer.
Tim was an inspiration to a lot of people. Not only an inspiration to watch play and see what he did, but then I had friends that end up being in the band with him, being in the Nephews with him. You know, three of my bandmates, or two or three. Anyways, so those two. I was trying to think if there's someone. What about? I don't know. I mean, how could you not have Fezzy on there?
That's it. That's number 3. I mean, basically, we're chiseling the same artists here, I can tell you. So there's no point in me even answering this question.
Right,
yes,
right. I mean, you have to have Fez on there. Because the Fez with the DIY and like everything that he did. That fourth is going to be tough because that's.
It is, yes.
I got the 3. I don't know. I'm going to have to let the fourth marinate.
Fair enough.
I might have to bump up a. I don't know. Like for me personally, and I guess that's what we're talking about. It's probably Rob Brewer. Because Rob was someone that when I met him, was learning how to play the guitar, wanted to play in Outrage and all that. And we're like, get out of here, you kid, you know that. And then starts his own band in his garage, you know, with Scott Russo, another Russo, and Wade Yauman, the friends of Tony Russo. And just went from there. And then those guys, you know, ended up making, you know, the Unwritten Law band. I don't know, 5 or 6 records with Rob, got to tour the world, Australia, Japan, all that. So for me, and that's just like a personal seeing a friend, you know, like just do so well and like always so humble. The thing about Rob Brewer is like, he's a humble person.
Very much so.
I remember a show they played in San Francisco at the Warfield and he's like, hey, I got you backstage passes. They were opening up for like Bad Religion and them and just walking around and like oh my, there's Greg Hedson, there's, you know, all these people. And I met the drummer for Green Day that night and just, he always provided a really good experience and he was always just the same guy. He was never like, I'm up here now and you're down there. You know what I mean? We have some really humble friends, Vin.
Sure. And absolutely, I love your answers. And honestly, I would ditto 1 through 4. I really would.
Wow.
Congratulations on that. But
thank you, my brother.
Yeah, you bet. Especially, I love what you said about number 4, because to me, again, Mr. Brewer, he doesn't get enough credit for being the conduit, if you will, from quote unquote our generation.
No, it's true, man. And like
at next level, and not only that, but made it very, very much mainstream.
Yeah.
And you cannot put you really can't overestimate how important that is, because we might not even be sitting here talking about the music industry if it hadn't gone mainstream.
It's true.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I mean, they paved the way for the Blinks, you know, to come through and you know, bands like that.
Right place, right time, but right people, right artists as well.
Like I'll just say this too, like I like their records still, but like the Elva record for me by Unwritten Law is like probably one of my top 20 records of all time. Like,
it's a tremendous effort.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good and like still sounds great. still turn people onto it, and they're like, wow. So yeah, absolutely stands the test of time. So there's my 4. And
Great answers,
to
by
those
the way.
that didn't make it, I love you guys. There's so many vital key parts to all of this, there really is. I mean, you could throw Jason Hill in that number 4 slot too. You really could. I mean, he's doing amazing things now. Soundtrack work and like just Louis the 14th and Convoy. I mean, come on, man. How can you not love Convoy?
Right. But it illustrates the point how really fortunate we were to grow up where we were.
Oh,
and know people. Right. And to soak it in.
Mm-hmm.
And it branches out to this day all over the world. No place more vitally than right where you're sitting, my friend.
Colorado.
Yeah, Anonymous Collective Studios, right?
Rocky Mountain. Yeah, we're right. Vinny, I'm glad you brought that up because we're right in the studio, man. It's where the magic happens, folks. See, woo, there's the drum kit. Vinny's usually standing right over there. To my right.
Definitely my spot. You're right. Yep.
Session bass player over here. Could be someone different every week. Someone
Sometimes
from our own
one of us.
Crew.
Yeah.
Right. And then, Greno on the drums or, man, this is where it all happens. And, it's weird, Vinny. It's been 10 years that we've been making music in this little studio here.
10 years this month. Yes, absolutely. And what a great decade it's been. And I can't wait to get on to the next chapter. But I do want to talk a little bit about what makes your studio, the Basement Studio, so important to me. And it really is. It gets down to the acoustics. I got to tell you, I know it's a small place. It's a little bit cramped. It feels very warm when you play in there. But the sound that resonates from there is amazing. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, if it's certain times of year or if it's because it's in the basement. Excuse me. What do you attribute the sound that you get down there in your basement studio to the success of Anonymous Collective?
Yeah, I think it's a 3 or 4 part thing that goes on. I think that number one, you're right. The acoustics are, it's really dead sounding in a basement. Again, it's underground and stuff. There's not a lot of room a lot of times for the sound to go a lot of different places. So it just kind of stays in the immediate area. And like you said, it's a smaller room. So you look for a lot of more clarity and things like that. I think there's a focus with performance is one thing I think that we've always brought to recording, whatever, if it's a Greno project, Skinny Mulligans, Circles and Squares, Menagerie, Thurston Ronaldo, whatever the project is that we're doing, we're very focused and keen on performance. And I feel like that's getting half the battle because you're not like, oh, I'll fix it later, Pro Tools and all these things that I shudder to when I hear them. I'm like, oh man, like I just don't go for that. I go for more of a live organic sound and feel. Even some of my solo recordings is me jamming with myself on a drum track. It's a part of it is actually live, things like that. So I think the organic nature of it, Vin, and then also just the excitement that this room creates. I feel like there's a vibe in here. The more it's a snowball effect, the more creative things, positive things that happen in this room, the more potential there is for more of it to happen. And it's been snowballing. I mean, this last year, you couldn't get me out of this room. I did 3 albums. I don't know how, but it wasn't by choice. You know that. It was not like, oh, it was just really out of necessity, right now. But yeah, you're right. The room has a vibe, Ben. And talk about when you first stepped in and did Mulligans for the first time. I believe it was with Mark, right? Mark Stevens.
Actually, not the first time. No, the first time would have been the Stair Step sessions. Mark was there the second time for the Garageland sessions. Actually. Okay. Right. But you're right. But my first thoughts, I've told you this from the first time I recorded down there, is the warmth that resonates out of the building. And I could never really define it, but 2 minutes ago you did. You said the deadening sound.
Yeah.
I couldn't put my finger on it, but that's the exact, it's spongy. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that kind of sound because it gives you a bigger easel for other things. Echo, feedback, distortion, you name it. Not going to get lost in the mix. It's very natural. I would compare it to a chess sound. Chess record in Chicago, really, very much. Very echo-based, very, for lack of a better word, very basement-y sounding. You listen to a Chuck Berry or Bo Diddley record, what's your first thought? He didn't record that on stage. He didn't record that in some hotel.
Right.
Basement sound.
Yeah.
Let's face it, brother, that's what we grew up on. When we recorded, we usually, even when you paid to be recording someplace.
Yeah.
You were recording in a basement.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
It's a magic place for me. And it always will be.
Yeah. Yeah, it means a lot. And like I said, just that intent, like that intention that people like you have when you come into the studio, ready to create with an open mind and feeling good about the space. Again, that's like almost half the battle. You know,
or even knowing what we're going to do when we get there and hammering it out, knowing, you know, exactly that it has been more to the point, I think. I don't think there's been a whole lot of experimentation or having to go over things over and over again. It's, hey, be ready, we're going to lay it down.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of a sense of urgency with the way that we run it. And, I mean, it works great. You know, again, we've had so many bands in here now, and we've had 6, 7, 8 people crammed in this room, you know, doing live recordings and whatnot. And yes, and you know, had my kids, Squeaky and the Futures, they were like some of the first to record in here. I created a bunch of tracks with the like bass, drums, guitar, and then I just let them kind of improvise over the songs, and that's how the first Squeaky and the Future songs came about. And they were a hit, man. People really dug it. People liked it more than the girls, I think, even knew.
Absolutely. And I remember those beginnings as well, when really Anonymous Collective was Greno, Squeaky and the Futures, and Vinny G.
Yeah.
Or the Mulligans.
Yeah.
And you know, the branching off. And the artists that are working with us now,
yeah,
I don't even want to get into names because there's so many. I don't want to leave anybody out.
Right.
But, I mean, you've got Colin Estes.
Yeah, just put out a new record.
Eric Shaggy Cullen.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the talent is all over the place and readily available, but it all comes through this conduit that is Anonymous Collective. And there's no place I'd rather work.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I feel like this last year, and I think you'll agree, it was a turning point for us.
Absolutely.
It's the first time we really started to invite a lot of other artists outside of our small realm, probably a roster of, like you said, a handful, maybe 3, 4 artists. And I think we're up to 10. You know, we added Dangerous Days, of course, which is our buddy Brock Smith, who does a lot of our graphics, and he's just an extraordinary artist and visionary. And what they put out 3 releases. Like you said, Colin put out his album in the fall, Our Favorite Prodigal Son. We added CJ, Prefab Soul. What a find that guy is. Tremendous songwriter, does Prefab Soul, does The Yeti, does Bad Night for a Hero. Yeah, I mean, Mob Individual, Vin is going to do something with us, our friend Brian Elio, and he'll be on the show also in 2021. I'm really excited for our guests for next year. I mean, we still have we still have a couple, you know, blockbuster shows coming up the rest of this year, but man, next year we are just going to we got some things rocking and rolling for you guys. And then Vinny, at some point, I'm looking forward to reconnecting with some of these, you know, the Eddies, have them on again. And I mean, everybody's welcome. But yeah, just off the dome, like I'm excited about kind of, getting back with some of these folks and seeing where their musical journey is now. Because as you know, it's always moving, right?
Right. And, let's get the invitations out ASAP because we have had some great guests over the last 12 weeks. Let's have the end of the year invites out, guys. You appeared on the show. We love you. We told you we were going to be having an end of the year thing. You'll be hearing from us. We're going to have a big end of the year Sunday Spin get together. Definitely. What better time, right?
Soiree, baby.
So yeah, the Eddies will be there.
Birdie Num Nums. It's going to be sweet, man. I know. And we don't have an actual date, but it doesn't matter because you guys know it's going to be on a Sunday. That's the one thing you can rely on. It'll either be the 20th or the 27th.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be one of those. And then next year, man, we're just going to kick it off real big. We got some great guests lined up. We're going to talk a lot of, I'm sensing a lot of music history from San Diego. Get really in depth, not just our 64 scene, but kind of a little bit more in depth, don't you think?
Yeah. There's, we haven't scratched the surface yet. And what better subject, especially in this age with all that's going on, to be able to look back with a little fondness and talk about the old days. Definitely. Yeah. Sure. I'm excited. I'm excited for next year too. Now, another thing I'm excited about is a special segment that we have starting this evening. So tell us a little bit about that, G.
So if you guys remember back, a legendary guest that we had from the 64, Mr. Eric Shaggy Cohen. And a few weeks ago, he did a little segment for us, a little one-off. That's kind of like this, probably like The Simpsons, that'll end up being on the TV for 28 years.
Yeah, he'll be syndicated before we are. Yeah,
exactly. Called Rick's Corner.
Yeah, we'll be the Tracy Ullman show.
Right? I'm telling you, man. And so Rick has put together a little segment for us with original music and graphics and the whole bit. We're really excited to share it with you guys. We'll do that right now. We will come back and talk about a few more things. We're just having too much fun today. We usually do a half hour, and we'll probably go over a little bit more today because we're having fun. But let's get to Eric, and let's see what he's got for us. It's Mr. Rick's Corner.
The debut.
Yes, thank you.
Rick's. Yeah,
Vinny. Yeah, thank you for clearing that up, my brother. The debut of Rick's Corner, and let's make sure I have this all set up and ready to go. We'll cross our fingers, and ladies and gentlemen, here's Eric Shaggy Cullen, or Rick. There we go. Technical difficulties here. There we go.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. Hi, Greno. Hey, Vinny. How you guys doing? Happy Thanksgiving. And hope you had a warm and wonderful holiday. For this week on Rick's Corner, we are going to count down Rick's top 10 favorite albums of 2020. And most of these I have on vinyl, but there's a couple I don't. So we're going to start with number 10, Little Barrie. The band is called Little Barrie, B-A-R-R-I. They are from Nottingham, UK. And they're doing kind of a nice blend of krautrock, little psychedelic, a la Spaceman 3. Really enjoyable album. Number 9 is Post Animal, and the album is called Forward Motion Goddessy. And Post Animal is from Chicago. And heavier psychedelic, a little prog rock thrown in there. And number 8 is Anna Birch. That's an album I don't have. But Anna Birch, and the album is called If You're Dreaming. Anna Birch is from Detroit, singer-songwriter, and doing some really good stuff. Very indie, kind of sensitive, girl in her bedroom kind of stuff, but sophisticated and really thoughtful, All right. Number 7 is Lady Gaga, her new album, Chromatica. A really good album by Lady Gaga. Kind of back to the basics, kind of nice bass lines, and really good. All right, number 6, Hedvig Mollestad. Hedvig Mollestad is a Norwegian is Wolf Parade. Thin Mind, Wolf Parade out of Montreal. And they are, this is probably like their 5th or 6th album. And I think it's they're just getting better with every release. Dramatic, theatrical, highfalutin. It's vibrant. And it's just an outstanding album. Oh, and it's on Sub Pop, by the way, and it's just a full package. Number 4 is Jealous of the Birds. The album is called Peninsula. And Jealous of the Birds is the band of Naomi Hamilton.
Is it over?
It's Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah,
it's not your fault. It's just too many things at one time. It's just not going to work. Too bad, man.
Yeah.
But you have the video, right?
Yeah, we'll play it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my computer now.
It's not your computer so much as the Wi-Fi. Can't be helped. You run too many things at one time. That's what happens. Yeah. And it's harder on Zoom and all those things too. You never know. It's too bad though. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Sorry. The sprinkler setup too.
Ready? Yeah, right. All right. So let's see if we can. What's on the screen now is completely just not. I can't even. Oh, okay, there we are. All right. So sorry about that, everybody. We'll show that next week. Like I said, just Wi-Fi issues right now are a little bit crazy. So, but yeah, Rick's Corner, man, it's going to be a blockbuster. I can tell you that. No doubt. So yeah, anything that we want to round it up with, or?
No, not really. Just, take care of one another. End of the year's coming, remember the spirit of the season, and stay healthy.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't have said it better myself, my brother. All right. And so yeah, let's see if we can the show with the song. Try and get going.
Yeah, surprise us.
If you guys have been tuning in, on label grenomusic.bandcamp.com, and sexy songs for your ears. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to make. Hopefully get out and get to play some of these songs one of these days. I'm trying to find a track to play, but I'll tell you what, this Rick's Corner file is just clogging up everything. It's like brought my computer to a standstill, basically.
Wow. We need to.
All right, so unfortunately, looks like, yeah, looks like we're not going to be able to play any music outro. So I'm seeing Jackie Cullen in front of me, and
No
the
worries.
internet is very bad. So yeah, love you guys. See you next week. Happy week, and everyone stay safe. Yep, love you guys. See you next week. Man, this is just, it's bad, bro. Yeah, internet is just, ugh. What the hell?